So as many of you may know, I love 1v1s. Watching them, playing them, to me there's nothing more exciting in Rocket League. I've reached a reasonably high level on PC of a 1500 players so far in 1v1, and do think I can push further, if I manage to stick to my bindings. It's a long story. During this time I've internalized core concepts on what works and what doesn't work in Rocket League 1v1s, and today I'm going to share all my knowledge I've accrued over the years on what works and what doesn't work, specifically in offense in 1v1s. So if that's something you'd like to hear about, stay tuned and we'll get right into the video. Alright, let's address the elephant in the room. If you want to be good at 1v1, you do have to learn kickoffs. It is a strict part of offense in 1v1 as it sets up the whole rest of the play. However, I have already made a kickoff tutorial, so I won't be addressing it in this video, so if you'd like to learn more about them, click the card in the top right or in the description down below. It really is an in-depth tutorial and will teach you everything you need to know to understand how to take good kickoffs. Alright, let's start talking about offense in 1v1. When attacking, you really only have 3 options: attack down the line, crossing the field, or taking the ball to the wall. All 3 have their merits, but how can you take the most advantage out of each situation? Attacking down the line or down the same side has by far the lowest chance of scoring, and you really shouldn't even expect to score from this situation. In my opinion, the best play here is to be thinking about boost control. The reason for this is when you're coming up against a shadowing defender, they have the advantage in terms of not conceding immediately, as you don't really have an angle to score from. This is why it's important to not overcommit on your shots. Shadow defense is where the defender defends on the same side of the field that the attacker is attacking from, and covers their near post and is also able to jump and boost across the goal if the shot goes to the far post. To not overcommit on your attacks when facing a shadowing defender, utilize low 50s. Low 50s are when your opponent looks to challenge high as they're expecting a high hit, and instead of hitting it high, you wait for the ball to drop and neutralize their challenge. Here is an example of where I overcommit by not taking the low 50 and trying to hit the ball over the defender as they are challenging high, and I end up conceding. It would have been much better to manipulate this situation into a low 50 instead, as it was clear the defender had the advantage in the high challenge. Another way to not overcommit when attacking a shadowing defender is to shoot earlier. Here you see my opponent setting up an early shot. The important thing to notice here is how he shoots to not overcommit. He shoots the shot high to my near post. This makes me have to jump and waste boost vertically. The reason I am mentioning vertically is that the shot has given me the slowest possible recovery whilst he has landed quickly to get into the next play. If he were to shoot low, my save will be grounded and I can be fast to the next ball. Shooting at the near post where I am positioned also makes sure I have no way of hitting the ball to my corner safely, so he can keep up his attack. Shooting to the near post isn't the only way to utilize early shots on shadowing defenders. You can also shoot across the goal, but there is an important detail to recognize. Watch how my opponent's car is recovering ahead of the ball after the shot. This means when I make a saving goal to the corner, I will always be behind my opponent to the next ball. This allows him to take boost and the next possession. Here is an example of me shooting across goal and overcommitting. Notice how I'm behind the flight of the ball, so I can't beat him to the next boost and the next possession. Now, I did make it clear that it's almost impossible to score on a shadowing defender, but the key word is almost. There is one way to score with huge consistency, and before I tell you what that is, when I say they are shadowing defenders, it's very important to recognize that they have to be facing directly towards their goal. If they are not shadowing, this attack will most likely fail. The shot is the air dribble bump, where you pop the ball and fly past it to remove the defender. If it is performed properly in this position, there is nothing the defender can really do to stop it without a perfect read on the attacker with a pre-jump, which for obvious reasons is very risky for them. If they choose to be reactive, which is the most likely way to defend from a shadowing position, you will score every time. However, if you notice they are defending in a way that's half shadowing and half ready to turn challenge, the air dribble bump will most likely not work most of the time. It should be noted this is the way most people will opt to defend in the higher levels. Here, because the defender is half turned, as soon as they see you setting up the air dribble bump, they can build up enough momentum to challenge right away. Whereas in the previous example, my opponent has all the momentum going towards his goal, and as in Rocket League your boost only works in the forward direction, he has no way of changing his momentum fast enough to close down the attacker and make a good challenge. And that's exactly why when your opponent is facing you, you shouldn't really attempt this. But there is something else you can do. You can fake the air dribble bump. As soon as you see them in that challenging position, you know they are ready to challenge when they see the start of the air dribble bump. You can use this to your advantage and show the initial setup of the air dribble bump where you single jump, and as soon as you hear them jump, you use your second dodge as a backflip to flicker over the oncoming challenge. This can be risky if you don't get the timing right or the mechanics right, but when you get it right, it's a goal every time. Not shadowing perfectly is where your car is not roughly lined up with the point of contact the attacker will make for his shot. In this case they are shooting with the front of their car, so I want to line up my car with the front of their car. This is because in Rocket League when someone shoots, the ball will move in a straight line from the point of contact. The closer they are to your goal, the more in line with the point of contact you want to be. As we look at these examples, notice how the defender isn't in line with the front of my car when I take the shot. I can explain these defensive positions more in depth in a defensive tutorial if you'd like to see it, so let me know. And finally, when attacking down the same side, defenders will often try and get as close as possible to stop you from crossing the field, which we will talk about in the next section. Whilst they get close, they will often try to hide behind the ball, which makes us lose vision of them. In these positions, we don't know if they will challenge or when they will challenge. This is why I would recommend you play these situations either really slow with low 50s or really fast with flicks straight over them. The problem with hoping that they won't challenge and not doing anything is that if they do challenge, the ball will fly right over you and potentially give them an easy goal. And this is why you need to act in one of two ways, low 50s or moving the ball. However, there are situations where you do nothing and they won't get an easy goal. For example, if they are close and challenge it against your back wall and you let them, you usually should be able to pick up a free goal as they'll be in your corner whilst the ball rolls to the midfield. And that's pretty much everything you need to know about attacking down the same side. Let's move on to the next section, which is crossing the field. Crossing the field is where you attempt to attack from an angle where the defender cannot shadow. When you cross the field, you have a much higher chance of scoring as the defender cannot just rely on defensive positioning and reactions anymore. Let me explain. When you cross the field and your defender has gone back, you have opened up more scoring options. You can shoot in front of them and behind them to score. The defender cannot react to both scenarios. However, previously the shadowing defender only has to worry about the shot across his goal as he has covered the front post. Where attacking a shadowing defender only gives the attacker the one option to shoot across goal, crossing over the field opens up many more regions of the goal to shoot at for the attacker. As we can see in this example, the defender decides to defend at his front post, so I shoot to the back post and get an easy goal. And in this example, I shoot behind the defender. As long as the shots you take are powerful and accurate, the defender can't really react from their goal line once they've been crossed over in the midfield. In this next example, I cross the field and shoot behind the defender. This type of shot works really well because the defender's momentum is moving across the goal. The shot I go for is a delayed flick. This is where you pop the ball and wait some time and then dodge into the ball again. This works extremely well when shooting behind cross defenders. When dealing with flicks in general, as a defender, if you don't react to the first jump from the attacker, the second immediate dodge is incredibly hard to save. As you can see in this example, the defender only decides to jump after I've used my second dodge, which is far too late. This is why the defender has to react to the first jump on close flicks. So when flicking over across the defender, they will most likely react to the first jump. When they do, they are moving across the goal and can't change their momentum, which allows me to catch them out with the second dodge and put the ball behind them. And if they defend too much at their front post, you can obviously put the ball right in front of them. Hook shots are another way to attack across the defender. They are a very low committal shot as there is no recovery because you are grounded. They often will be very fast shots too. To perform a hook shot, all you need to do is push the ball into space and drive in a curve as supersonic into the ball. Hook shots are very variable like the other shots as mentioned, as you can shoot in front of them and behind them to score. Often you'll find cross defenders not wanting to defend from their goal line, as they deem it as they've already conceded, so they rush the ball. When they rush the ball, they allow you the option to outplay them directly. The most important thing is to have an outplay ready. whether it be a shot immediately from a bounce dribble, having a shot on an open net where you have the option to fake, or the ability to power slide cut. The problem for them in this position is they have to challenge, as if they believed they could save your original shot, they wouldn't be challenging, which makes these outplays almost guaranteed. All these shooting techniques have a high probability of scoring on a cross defender. However, there are things the defender can do to make it difficult. As I stated, I will be happy to go through these defensive positions in more detail in the defensive tutorial, but what should you look out for as an attacker? Again, as mentioned previously, if you notice the defender's nose of the car is roughly lined up with the part of the car that will hit the ball, in this case the front of the attacker's car, the defender will have the best chance of saving the ball. In this example, as I'm defending, I'm trying to line up the front of my car with where I believe the point of contact on the shot will be from his car. And in this example, the defender is too far over from the point of contact of my car on the ball, making it harder for them to save. So as an attacker, look out for how lined up the nose of their car is with the part of the car you wish to hit the ball with. The advantage in these situations is still with the attacker with a good shot, but the defender defending like this will definitely make it tougher to score. The last way to score is to use aerial attacks, most commonly from the sidewalls, but also can be set up from the ground. I would liken this to crossing over the defender whether you're on the same side of the field or not, because you create so many more options when you get a good aerial setup, and the defender remains grounded. Air dribbles, ceiling shots and ball flip resets are all super effective and incredibly hard to defend. Ceiling shots and ball flip resets are two mechanics where you reset your flip. In Rocket League, once you leave a surface with a jump, you have a 1.5 second window where you can use another jump. However, if you leave a surface without jumping, you can infinitely use that first jump. Ceiling shots and on-ball flip resets use gravity to leave the surface they were on, therefore you have an infinite jump, which when you hold a direction whilst using the infinite jump can be used as a flip. This flip allows for very powerful shots and quick direction changes off the ball that make it incredibly hard to defend. And air dribbles are shots where you get multiple touches in the air whilst using boost. In brief, on all aerial attacks you can go above them if they stay grounded, you can fake if they go high, and if they stay on course you can bump them or take a safe 50-50. With the added bonus of flip resets off the ball or ceiling, meaning you can have an extra attack on top of that with a flip. To set these up using the wall, you want to use the same strategy as crossing the field by taking the ball away from your opponent. But instead of taking the ball towards the goal, you take it to the wall. Then pop it off and then go for either ceiling shot, air dribble or flip reset. You can set these up from the ground from a bouncing ball or if the ball is on top of your car, like we discussed with the air dribble bumps. In my experience, aerial attacks are by far the easiest way to score on grounded defenders, once you get good at them. You have so many options on where to put the ball that it makes them so effective. So definitely consider learning them if you haven't already, as if the defender remains grounded, it really is impossible to save. And then there are aerial pre-jumpers. Since Fairy Peak's performance in Goldmine, Johnny Boy's 1v1 tournament, a lot of players have started to pre-jump aerial attacks, and unfortunately, it works quite well.
But look at this. Astral saw the early challenge coming in, went for a play over Fairy, and Fairy still got a touch on the ball.
So to counter this takes a lot of experience. You have to know your distances very well. For example, can you get the reset before they make contact? If not, it's better to stay behind the ball and take a 50. If you can get the reset in time, make sure you are not too under the ball. Try and get your reset as high up on the ball as possible. This way it will make it easier to 50 if they are able to challenge. And if they are slow to challenge, you can make your play over them. In this example, my opponent tries to get a reset very far under the ball, which means I can challenge it right over him and get a free chance. Which is why it's important to get the reset higher up on the ball, so they can't challenge it right over you. It will take time to judge these distances to deal with these aerial pre-jumpers. It's all a matter of practice, and once you get that down, there's another type of player to play against. The fake aerial pre-jumper. If you notice they fake challenge, we still use the same strategy of staying behind the ball well, ready to 50. It's important to always think about protecting the ball even if they don't challenge, as we don't know they are going to challenge, and any decent challenge they get will result with the ball and them in your half and you in theirs, making an easy goal for them. Also, it's important not to panic and throw the ball away either, because they will get a free goal from that too, as they'll save it and counter while you're still recovering in their half. Just make sure you cover the challenge, and if they challenge, great, you get a good 50, and if they don't, great, you carry on your play. There is another even earlier pre-jumper, where they pre-jump you before you've even popped the ball off the wall. You can use sound cues to tell when they have jumped. They will have to pre-jump high to stop the pop, and when this happens, the best thing to do is simply fake going up and drive above the ball and push it down and dribble into the open net. However, they can potentially trick you into rolling the ball down with a fake pre-jump by just single jumping. But also here you will get a free possession and you can start a new play. But also being patient and listening further for how much boost they're using will indicate whether they are going to challenge, which takes a bit of experience. But if you can read it, just wait until you're sure and carry on with your play. Another scenario is if they lunge to challenge once you've rolled the ball up the wall and they are beating you to it, let them hit it and retreat back in case they get a pinch. The recovery will be slow from this and they will have wasted boost. You should be able to pick up a free possession with more boost to start another attack. And finally we have super pre-jumpers, who pre-jump you even before you thought you were going for an aerial. These are super fun to catch out with a quick shot as you learn their playstyle. And that's pretty much everything I have to say on 1v1 offense. Oh wait, how could I forget? Demos. And finally, let's talk about NRG's favourite topic, demos. A demo is where you're going at supersonic speed and ram into your opponent at an angle of 45 degrees. If you'd like to learn it more in detail, Rocket Sledge has a great video where he tests everything out. A demo causes the opponent to be removed from the game for 3 seconds, which can be a huge advantage for either players, as sometimes it helps the demoed player get a boost where they otherwise wouldn't have any. Really, with demolitions, I wouldn't go out of your way to get them. They often cause you to overcommit. However, I would recommend you use demos only when your opponents have a predictable path. So as we discussed with edge roll bumps, the opponent has to try and save the shot when the ball is going towards their goal. They have to be there, so we can aim for that location and remove them. Another predictable path is when your opponent is landing and doesn't have their dodge or boost. So if we time it right, we can remove them as they land. Another great way to get demos is aiming for the boost or the ball when your opponent is slightly ahead of you. This means when they get the boost, you get the demo or the bump. They are also great options to go for to disrupt the rhythm of an opponent's attack when you don't have any options to score. Often experienced players will be able to dodge these bumps with either jumps, turning, accelerating or decelerating, but these evasive maneuvers will often waste time in their attack, giving you those extra seconds to set up your defensive positioning. And that's pretty much everything I have to say on 1v1 offense. So thank you for watching, I hope you can take something from this video, and I'll see you in the next one.